Kim, what is our third main topic today?
Okay, this is coming from Ariell K. Greetings from Ottawa, Ontario. Batfleck recently did an interview with the LA Times where he said his experience with filming the Justice League was the nadir of his career, with one bad thing happening after another. That ultimately left him feeling burnt out with the character. I think this gives some closure to Affleck leaving his role and not directing the Batman. What are your thoughts?
All right. Thanks a lot for saying that in, man. And yeah, I remember a couple days ago, news started to hit. I started seeing these headlines going around saying Ben Affleck calls Justice League the worst experience he's ever had and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, whoo, as if that entire title and property needs more drama surrounding it. And you guys know, long before it was cool, I'm a Ben Affleck fan. I've been a Ben Affleck fan for a long time. I think this dude is great. And if you want to know just how good of an actor he is, go watch Changing Lanes with him and Samuel L. Jackson. And I thought he was great. I mean, I know not everybody loved the recent one he did with Matt Damon, The Last Duel. I thought he was fantastic in it. I thought the bro chemistry between him and Adam Driver in it was like sick and twisted, but really awesome. I thought the chemistry was great. I've always loved Ben Affleck, and his Batman incarnation is my favorite incarnation of the character on screen so far. And I really wanted a Ben Affleck directed and starring in Batman movie. I'm still super excited for the Batman being directed by Matt Reeves, but I always wanted the Ben Affleck one, right? Now, obviously, there's a lot of drama that went on around the Justice League. However, what has happened, and it happens all the time in the fan communities, that headline goes out, Ben Affleck, says the Justice League was the worst experience of his thing, and that's all people read, and they start running with all these narratives about what that meant. Oh, it meant that he hated this person. It meant he hated that person. Until you actually read what Ben Affleck wrote and said, and then you realize, man, this is a dude who had a lot going on in his life. A lot of self-inflicted injuries. Self-inflicted. But a lot of stuff going on nonetheless. This comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter, writes the following. And this is Ben Affleck speaking. He says, "It was really Justice League that was the nadir for me," Affleck recalled, who retired as the Caped Crusader in 2019, but will be back in the role for The Flash in November. "That was a bad experience because of a confluence of things. My own life, my divorce, being away too much, the competing agendas, and then Zach's personal tragedy and the reshooting. It just was the worst experience. It was awful. It was everything that I didn't like about this," the star continued. "That became the moment where I said, I'm not doing this anymore. It's not even about like Justice League was so bad, because it could have been anything." And that again comes to us from Ben Affleck and the folks over at the Hollywood Reporter. This is interesting to me because I think sometimes we as movie fans, myself included, we forget that these are real people with in many ways, much different sets of problems than you and I have, because money ain't one of them, but a lot of the same problems we have too. And, Ben has been somebody who, again, I acknowledge self-inflicted injuries, but he has struggled with substance abuse, alcoholism. He had the stuff with his relationship with Jennifer Garner. His marriage fell apart. He's got kids with that person. Plus, you got to remember that when he was doing like Batman versus Superman, all that kind of stuff, Ben Affleck was one of the hottest names in Hollywood. I think a top 5 director at the time. Like everything he was directing was turning out to be awesome. And it seemed like for a little bit, for the first time in his career, everybody was loving Ben Affleck. Then on top of all the personal problems, Batman versus Superman came. It was obviously very critically and with the audience, very divisive. Some people loved him, some people didn't. Then the sad Affleck memes started going, remember those? Yeah. The sad Affleck themes going around and all that kind of stuff on top of all the personal problems he was having. And then I thought he very well articulated why for him that time while he was shooting Justice League was the absolute worst experience for him, because he was dealing with all that on top of his personal issues, on top of his very public divorce, on top of being away from his kids while all that mess was going on, and on top of and on top of and on top of. Now, I know there are a lot of people out there with agendas who want to rush to say, oh, this was him talking about how much he hated that movie. But he specifically said, look, this isn't about how bad Justice, this is about all these things combined. And I'm sure the fact that Justice League wasn't all that well received is probably part of that. But anyway, I think this is really good to put a human face on it. Now, I will say this too. This is kind of the third or fourth new version of Ben Affleck explaining why he walked away from Batman, right? And I'm not blaming him, but at first was, I just realized I can't star as Batman and do a good job directing, so I'm going to give up the director's chair. And everybody believed it, when obviously that wasn't true. Then he got on stage at CinemaCon or at Comic-Con when people like myself and a few others said Ben Affleck is out as Batman. But he still got on stage at Comic-Con and said, no, what did he say? I'll be an ape for Matt Reeves and crawl around on all four. Woohoo, I'm still Batman. Well, we know now he wasn't. He had actually made the decision long before that to step away from it. Then came out a different version about it now. And I think as more times pass, we're getting closer and closer to the real picture about why he stepped away. And honestly, I like that because it's putting a more human face to it. So it's kind of interesting to see and hear. And listen, I don't care. I am still a big Ben Affleck fan. I still cannot wait to see him in that cape and cowl again in The Flash. I don't care how good or bad The Flash turns out. I'm looking forward to seeing that, and I will look forward to seeing whatever Ben Affleck does. I still haven't watched a Tender Bar. I've got it queued up on my TV. I got to watch a Tender Bar. Haven't got around to it yet. But I will watch, and I cannot wait to watch him direct again and all that kind of stuff. And here's hoping for a bright and healthy future for Ben and getting back on the full track he was on prior to all the stuff going on. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, Manscaped. Now look, guys, it's a brand new year. It's time to make some resolutions about taking care of ourselves, and that includes taking care of our balls. For too long, too many guys I know have been using like beard trimmers, or even worse, this part of the electric razor to take care of the area down there. It's barbaric. It's like trying to carve the statue of David using a dull butter knife. Thankfully, there is a solution for guys like you and me, and it's Manscaped. Manscaped is a company dedicated to giving us guys products to take care of the parts that we often forget to take care of properly. Now, I've been using the Performance Package 4.0. The package includes the backbone of their line, the Lawnmower 4.0. And listen, I love this thing. It's designed and built specifically for our ball area, giving the best and most comfortable results that I have personally, honestly, ever had. And you have to try to believe it. It also comes with the Weed Whacker. It's a specialized tool for, your nose and ear hair trimming that Ray Ora himself just recently used for a special event, and it worked better than his previous tools. And I gotta mention the body wash. I am not joking. I used the body wash for the first time about a week ago, and you can ask Kimberly, Ray, or Rob, or any of them. I came into the studio that day raving about how I haven't enjoyed taking a shower this much in a long time. The body wash is fantastic. Also included is the Crop Preserver. That's your ball deodorant, guys. Take care of yourselves down there. And also don't forget the Crop Reviver, which is a ball toner. So guys, get 20% off and free shipping with the code Campea at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Make sure you use that promo code Campea. It's the new year, guys. No pubes in 2022 with Manscaped. Rob, you know how you and I talk a lot about how much I like Ben Affleck, but you hear him now kind of recounting this story. Does it kind of change the way we perceive the way all the drama was going on at the time?
Well, I think it adds clarification. And, us fanboys are always talking about, well, especially Zack Snyder's Justice League, there's a lot of conversation that is ongoing about that project. And I think it's nice to have clarification from Mr. Affleck himself about what was going on. A lot of people don't realize that making movies for some people is a profession. It's a job. So it's not like while you're making movies that you're feeling like, my God, I've been a part of this cultural artifact like Zack Snyder's Justice League, and then it gets turned into Joss Whedon's Justice League and all the craziness happens. It's a job, and people usually take pride in those jobs, and they want these things to be good. And when something goes very, very south on you, and it's out of your control, no matter what it is, no matter how much money you're getting paid, you still want it to be good. You still put years of your life into something, and then when it isn't good, it's crushing. Take away the money, take away the fame, but the actual act of creation, when it gets subverted somehow, and then on top of that, you've got a drinking problem, you're trapped in a marriage, you're going through a divorce. I mean, Ben Affleck's just a person like anybody else. And what he copped to the fact that this was all going on, man. I felt for the guy reading that. I read the interview.
Yeah.
And I felt for him. I was like, psh. And plus, public scrutiny. You know, you can't go anywhere. You can't go to a bar and talk to the bartender if you're feeling bummed out. Someone's going to come up and ask for an autograph. I mean, what a bummer.
You know, and one of the interesting things too here that he said was, finding out this is he was already having the worst experience before Zack Snyder left the project.
Right.
And he's not at all blaming any of it on Zack Snyder.
Not at all.
But, you know, just go back and look at this. Go back and look at this one point again, when he said that was his bad experience because of a confluence of things: my own life, my divorce, being away too much, the competing agendas, and then Zack's personal tragedy. Like then him leave. So even before Snyder left, like he was just saying this was the most miserable experience, and it had a lot to do with the circumstances going on in his life.
Yeah, and the guy's an A-list director. He's won his film Argo, won Best Picture, and I got to tell you, I really liked Sum of All Fears when he stepped into the role of Jack Ryan. I thought that movie was really good, and I would have loved to have seen him continue that series.
Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about these comments now being made by Ben Affleck? I think it helps to put a real human face on everything that was going on. How are you guys feeling about it? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down into the comment section below and leave us your thoughts.